In his lifetime, my grandfather Max Heine played many roles. As a young man, he was the black sheep of the family, possessed of a fearless, adventurous spirit. As a student, he was the activist, working to promote respect for all people. Later in life, he was the dean of post-depression investing, mentoring many of the young men who would become wizards of Wall Street in their own right. Max was renowned for his calm wisdom and uncanny investment sense. Although away from the office, he was a bit of an absent-minded professor. Max Heine's remarkable legacy lent him one last, and perhaps his most enduring role, that of the humanitarian. Born in Berlin in 1910, much of Max's childhood was spent in the East German town of Suhl. His relatives, the prosperous Simpson family, employed most of the townsfolk in the manufacture of rifles, motorcycles, and automobiles. One summer, while staying at his grandparents' villa, a teenage Max secretly printed pamphlets urging the factory workers to unionize. He fervently believed in the welfare of workers, even at the expense of his family's success. Max's enthusiasm for social change never quite found its way into his studies. Much to his parents' dismay, he failed most of his classes in law school, but became treasurer of his university's Communist Party. Soon after the Nazis came to power, Max was arrested and questioned by brown shirts after leaving a party meeting. His mother and father, afraid that his political activity would get him jailed or worse, sent him to New York. For 23-year-old Max, America was a great adventure. At first, he treated employment with the same laissez-faire attitude as he did school. He'd work low-paying jobs selling lingerie and dresses, and quit when he wanted a vacation. Funny story. A few years after Max arrived in America, he was joined by his parents. At the time, no money could be taken out of Germany, so they changed it all into goods. When Oma and Opa stepped off that boat, Max almost ran away. His mother was wearing most of the goods, bedecked in piles of furs and jewelry. Later, he told my mother that she looked like the golden calf. Still in his 20s, he landed his first job as a broker at L.J. Marquis & Company and began investing for friends, many of them German refugees like himself. It was during those early years in America that Max met Lotta, the great love of his life. They married in 1938. In 1949, Max took over the newly formed Mutual Shares Fund to serve the same German refugee friends and their families for whom he'd been investing for years. Max lived well but simply, never extravagantly. He felt he had more than he needed, and he donated his time and money to organizations and charities, particularly the Blue Card, which was introduced to him by his father. No matter how busy he was, Max always found time for Blue Card, and his youngest daughter Peggy remains on the board to this day. Max Heine passed away in 1988, leaving behind 3 daughters, eventually 6 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, and countless devoted friends. His legacy, to all who knew him, was modesty and loyalty, empathy and wisdom. Whether he was the idealistic teenager churning out pamphlets in a basement, or the successful man in the world of finance, Max Heine, my grandfather, always showed tremendous compassion for those in need and never hesitated to put those humanitarian impulses into action.